Welcome to the Patriots Pulse Preview Show. I'm your host, John Sirenitas, and as always, I'm joined by my partner, John Sapichetti. In some circles, he's also known as Grimace. John, how are you this evening?
Grimace. Wow.
Or this morning, I should say. This morning, I should say, not evening.
Is that because of the
purple sweatshirt? Yes.
Okay.
You're giving Grimace vibes here.
Okay. All right.
Very McDonald's-ish.
True. Okay. I didn't even know who Grimace was, but that's okay. You have a child. I don't, so I'm not as hip to this stuff as
No, he's been around a while. You don't need to have
Has
a
he?
child to know who Grimace is.
How long has Grimace been around? I mean, I do eat at McDonald's, but I obviously don't pay attention to anything but the food.
Yes. Well,
what I was thinking of doing is every week wear the color of the opposing team. Right, but so I should have been in like creamsicle today, so I'll work on that.
Yeah, I was going to say they're not playing the Vikings.
No.
Yeah.
Or the
That's
Ravens.
Not applicable when it comes to this game.
Maybe when they play the Ravens, I'll wear the hooded sweatshirt.
Yeah, there you go. All right, well, let's just jump right into it. Obviously, Patriots at 7-2 hit the road this week to take on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay, of course, coming off a bye, so they will have had 2 weeks to prepare for the Patriots. All week long, we've heard about how this is going to be a litmus test and a true test, and we'll see how good they are. I don't buy that. I don't think the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are that elite that this is quote-unquote a true test for this Patriots team. We really need to stop saying stupid stuff like that around here. This is a good football team. You don't get to 7-2, and I don't care who's on your schedule. You don't get to 7-2 if you're not a good enough football team to win 7 games. Obviously, they are. This will be a tough test for them. Don't get me wrong, but this narrative that it's some type of a litmus test or some type of a real test, we're going to find out who they really are today. We're going to find out if Drake May's really that good today. I think that's been overblown all week. I think that's a bunch of hogwash.
There's a good chance, actually, statistically, it's true that this is the worst pass defense that he's going to face. And look at the numbers he's put up in the first 9 weeks against better pass defenses, including the Atlanta Falcons last week. He didn't have a great game, but it was good enough to win the football game for Drake May and the New England Patriots. I look at Tampa Bay, and I stack them up against other teams in the NFC. And I would say that I think there are 5 teams better than Tampa Bay. First of all, Philadelphia, the defending Super Bowl champions. Green Bay and Detroit. Now, those 2 teams sometimes lay eggs, and they are very, very difficult to understand why they do that. I mean, Green Bay's lost to Cleveland and Carolina. Detroit lost to Minnesota last week, but I still think high-end Detroit, high-end Green Bay better than Tampa. I think the Rams and Seattle are both better than Tampa. I think Tampa and San Francisco are kind of on the same level. Tampa did beat San Francisco a month ago, but that's when San Francisco had a ton of injuries. So Tampa's a good team that probably is going to win one of the weakest, if not the weakest division in all of football. And if you look at their numbers, John, they're a middle-of-the-road offense. They're a middle-of-the-road defense. They win because they're +7 in turnovers, and Baker Mayfield, for the first third of the season, played like an MVP and pulled a lot of games out of his keister, and they were able to win those games.
Yeah. No, and again, that's part of the reason why I'm not so sure this is going to be some kind of a test for the Patriots. I think the Patriots can go on the road and win today. I don't think that if they go down there and win today and improve to 8-2, we really need to stop having these conversations about them as a team that's lucky, or them as a team that, well, how good are they? They're a byproduct of their schedule. No, they go down there and win today. That'll be a good win for them against a team that, I don't know if I'd agree with you in terms of the way you're stacking them. I don't buy Green Bay. Detroit, to me, the coordinators, particularly Ben Johnson, you see where they miss him at times. I agree with you that they could be inconsistent, but I'm not sure they are what they were. I still think Philadelphia is the standard. You're higher on the Rams than I am. I still think they're a second-round team at best. San Francisco, I do think if they were healthy, they'd probably be the 1 or the 2 seed right now. I mean, they've been pretty good. Kyle Shanahan, one of the best in the league. I do think this Tampa team's probably a little bit better than you're saying. But to your point, the numbers, though, bear it out. Statistically, they are very much a middle-of-the-pack team. When you look at the league as a whole, I'm not sure you make the argument that they're a top 10 team in the league right now. More likely, they're probably the 11th or 12th best team in the league, realistically speaking.
Well, we looked at the Atlanta Falcons last week, and both of us called for a very close game. We thought that the Patriots would find a way to win, but it would be a close game. Atlanta has more high-end talent than Tampa does. Now, maybe Tampa has a deeper roster. Tampa has a better quarterback. Tampa has a better coach. They've won the division with Baker Mayfield the last 2 seasons, the previous 2 seasons. And of course, they won it 2 out of 3 years when Tom Brady was there. So they're building up a winning culture, and they do draft well. But yeah, to your point, I think Atlanta probably has more high-end talent than Tampa Bay. The Patriots were able to beat Atlanta. And you look at how the Patriots are stacked up against the NFC South. This is the Patriots' 10th game of the season. It's the 4th against the NFC South. They beat Carolina by nearly 30 points. Now, at that point, Carolina looked like an also-ran. Well, they've won 4 out of their last 5 games since the Patriots beat them handily. You go forward with that. New Orleans was a struggle, expectedly so, because it came right on the heels of the big win in Buffalo. And then they also beat the Atlanta Falcons. So they're 3-0 against the South. Tampa should be the best team in the South. I don't think they're the most talented team in the South, but they get the most out of what they have. And to your point, John, middle of the road offense, middle of the road defense, they're at 6-2 because they win the turnover battle. They've only had 5 turnovers this year. They've created 12, so they're +7. And Baker Mayfield, the first month and a half of the season, looked like an MVP candidate. He was winning games at the end against Houston, the Jets, whoever, where it looked like it was a lost cause. So the key is obviously maybe being a net negative in the turnover battle for the Patriots today, and then you go from there.
Yeah. Well, and you're going to have to win the turnover battle today, because to win games like this on the road, you need those extra possessions. Winning the turnover battle helps. The other thing is they've got to play smarter. Penalties continue to be an issue for this Patriots team, and consistency, especially early in games, continues to be an issue for this Patriots team. Ironically enough, last week they got off to a better start than they have in recent weeks, but then, to quote Mike Vrabel, they took a nap at the end of the first half. That allowed Atlanta to get back in the game, and if Parker Romo hits that extra point, who knows what happens if this thing goes into overtime. Perhaps Atlanta wins, and now we're probably having a slightly different conversation. So while, yes, I think Patriots are a good football team, we have to start calling them that. I don't care who they played. I don't care who they beat. At the end of the day, though, there's still a lot there that they need to do to be better. They've got to play cleaner. They've got to be more fundamentally sound. And I'm not saying that Mike Vrabel's been dismissive of that part of the game, but he's been dismissive of that part of the game. I kind of feel like it needs to be more of a point of emphasis. And I know it is internally, but even externally, the message needs to be a little different. They've got to play cleaner. They've got to cut down on the penalties. They've got to continue to get off to better starts. And they've got to play a 4-quarter game, because as good as they've been, it's very hard to look at them right now and say they played a complete game this week and that week. They've done it a couple of times, but to be a legitimate playoff contender, a legitimate Super Bowl contender, which they win today, maybe that conversation changes a little bit. But in order to be those things, they have got to find a way to play a 4-quarter game, which I'm not sure they've done more than maybe twice this season.
That's when you become an elite team, right? You put together 4 quarters. Look, even the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending Super Bowl champions, are guilty of this, where they'll play 2.5 really good quarters, and then their offense goes to sleep. We both follow the Green Bay Packers. I can't remember the last time the Green Bay Packers played full high-end 4 quarters of football. If this goes back to, like,
that's
when
not
Aaron
a
Rodgers
thing. Let me say one thing. There's no such thing as high-end 4 quarters of football. That's not a thing. Nobody plays unless you are vastly superior to the other team. You're not going to play a full 4-quarter game where you're dominant. My point is, when I say I want to see them play a 4-quarter game, I want them to be consistent. I want them to be in position to score all 4 quarters. They'll get the key stops. Their defense has played well as the game has gone on, but offensively, there's still a lot of that. You saw last week, they really bogged down in the second half. And if you're going to be a team that's going to contend, you've got to be able to score on at least 2 to 3 drives in the second half, if not more. They didn't do that. They had a really good first half where they did that, but that's the consistency piece. It didn't carry over. Now, again, when you're playing good teams or you're playing teams that are relatively even to you, it's hard to play a, quote, good 4-quarter game. But I think it's the little things that this team has to do better.
My point with that is you want to at least be even in the quarter or win the quarter. Then when you add this thing up after 4 quarters, you win, right? So what I've seen, and I talked about this for years with you about the Packers, they would go into a playoff game and you have like 4 straight 3-and-outs. Those are disasters. Those are momentum killers. If you could pick up a couple of first downs, win field position, maybe get a field goal out of that thing, stay even in the quarter. Now you're that much better. That's more my point. I don't expect this to be the Super Bowl between the 49ers and the Broncos back when we were kids, when it was 55-10, and I think San Francisco scored 2 touchdowns in every quarter. I mean, you don't see that anymore in the NFL. So my point being, if you're not going to have a really prime quarter, at least be solid throughout that. Don't turn the ball over. Get some first downs, build some momentum so that at least you're taking control and keeping control of the game. That game last week turned on Drake May's fumble in the pocket. It's 21-7 at that time. Looks like they're going in for at least a field goal to go into the half 24-7. Instead, it's 21-14, different ball game. That's what I'd like to see, is a little bit more consistency there within the game.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And again, they're 7-2, and they've been able to win games. They've been able to win close games. That's the thing. When you look at this run, outside of that Carolina game, they've been able to win close games here, and that's good. That's a hallmark of a good team. But like I said, and I think you bring up a good point, you can't go long stretches without scoring in the second half, and you allow the other team to get back into it. There's got to be more consistency there on offense, and I think you're going to need that today, because, again, to go down there and win, I think it's going to be very important for them to play a 4-quarter game, especially on offense. You can't have lulls in this one, because I think that offense, even though you're going to be without Mike Evans and they're going to be without Chris Godwin, I still think that that's a really good offense. And Emeka Egbuka right now looks like the offensive rookie of the year in the NFL. Cade Otton's a really good tight end. They're going to be without Bucky Irving, but that they'll still be able to run the football. Tucker's been pretty good for them. White has been good for them. So this is a team that offensively will still find a way to manufacture offense and score points. Ken Matthias joins the show. He says, what's up, gents? Thoughts on today's game? How involved will wide receiver Kyle Williams be in the absence of Booty? I think he'll be very involved. And I do think we've gotten to a point now where they need to get him more involved. He needs to become a bigger part of this offense.
Yeah, without question. I mean, he was a high draft pick. You expect a lot of good things from him. We know the history of the Patriots drafting wide receivers. They are more successful late in the draft than early in the draft. I mean, look at even Kayshon Boutte, right? And Pop Douglas. I mean, those guys were late picks, and they've both produced pretty decently in their short careers with the New England Patriots, where the second-round guys just haven't, or the third-round guys haven't produced as well. He's going to be a key component there. I think the difficult part of the Patriots offense going up against Tampa's defense is they're very difficult to run against. Vita Vea is one of the best players in this league. He just causes a lot of problems. He just is a game wrecker in the middle. Not going to necessarily sack the quarterback, but he's going to derail your running game for a good portion of it. So now, how do you combat Tampa Bay's blitz package, which is really exotic? If you were able to handle that, then maybe you were able to move the football. Tampa's defense is for real. And I think that they're going to have to contend with that blitz package that Tampa Bay brings with Todd Bowles in the helm. Yeah.
No, it should be I mean, again, I'd like to see Kyle Williams more involved. I've been saying it out for a couple of weeks that you need to get him going. And I know that it's easy to point to the Patriots' history with receivers and everything else in that conversation, but I do think this is an opportunity now for them to really get him more involved in the offense, start finding different ways to use him. The one thing I will say about Kyle Williams, and I remember the night of the draft, the night of round 2, I got a lot of pushback on this when I was at Gillette. A lot of the people around here that cover the team like that pick, and I'm going to stick by what I said then. I like the player, but I don't like the fit. And what I meant by that was I don't think he does enough for you as a receiver in all 3 levels. And in order to be effective in Josh McDaniels' offense, receivers have to be 3-level players. They have to be guys that can make plays in the 3-step game, on perimeter screens, intermediate passes, and vertically, especially in plus territory. And while I think Williams can do those things vertically, we have not seen enough from him underneath in the intermediate level of the passing game and in the 3-step perimeter screen game to say that, you know what, this guy could be an effective piece for this team. So, and I get it. They drafted him because they were looking for a vertical guy that could take the top off of coverage. I understand that, but I still think in this offense, guys, particularly guys that can play in the slot like he can, those guys thrive at all 3 levels. I don't think he's that kind of player. So I would temper my expectations if I were a Patriots fan in regards to Kyle Williams, not just for today, but really for the rest of the season. I'm not sure he's going to give this offense what Patriot fans are hoping he gives them.
So in attacking that blitz package of Tampa Bay, we saw last week that Atlanta likes to blitz. Tampa also likes to blitz. What's the difference between the two teams in their blitz package?
I don't know, John. Who cares about blitz packages? I asked you about Williams, man. Answer the question.
All right, Dan Campbell. No problem there, Dan
Come
Campbell.
on, Skip.
I want to get in the weeds with you. I want to look like I know football.
I don't care. I hate defense. I'm an offensive guy.
Well,
who cares? Just block it up.
All right. So how about this? Against this blitz package, which is aggressive, right? I mean, we know Todd Bowles will bring him from the back.
I mean, they're not as aggressive as you think. This is the thing. Bowles does a lot with sim pressure, and he disguises a lot of pressure. They're still only bringing 4 or 5 guys, on occasion 6, but they're not going to sell the farm here and play cover 0. I don't think you're going to see a lot of that. You might see some of that depending on down and distance, but I think a big difference between Atlanta and Tampa Bay is I think Tampa Bay will play more man-free, more cover 0 with their pressures. At least that's what Ulbrich has shown. I think Bowles is more of a zone pressure guy, a lot of sim pressure, a lot of bluffs. He'll bring guys, he'll drop guys. Look, from an offensive perspective, who gives a shit what they're doing? Line up and block it. And at the end of the day, that's all that matters. I don't care if he's bluffing and mugging and coming or bluffing and mugging and dropping. Get your calls, identify who is where, and block them. And at the end of the day, yes, if I'm Josh McDaniels today, in certain downs and distances, 2nd and long, 3rd and long, you may need to do more with 6-man protections, maybe even some 7-man protections and chip releases. The bottom line is block them. And one of the things I would say is I don't think the Patriots have approached pass pro with that mentality at times this season, and it's been a problem, specifically the left side. Those young guys are overthinking at times. Listen, in the end, especially when you're playing zone blitz defenses, it's really about protecting a gap. And as long as you communicate with your partner, and this is where you divide the offensive line into pairs, as long as you're communicating with your partner and you understand, okay, I've got a mug backer here. He's going to do one of 2 things. He's either going to blitz or drop. And then I've got to identify, what do I have in my area? And typically you identify 3 guys that are a potential threat. As long as you communicate with the guy next to you, you're going to be fine. So, you know what? The offensive guy in me says, who gives a shit what they do? We need to block it. That's on us. Let's figure it out. Let's not overthink about what they're doing. Who cares what they're doing? Let's just do what we need to do.
You're telling the most analytical person you know not to overthink.
I hate analytics in football.
Not analytics in terms of numbers. Just like me against you. And I did my job. I got 3 minutes out of you for someone who didn't give a shit about what they were going to do against Tampa Bay. But I still like it. I did. I got 3 minutes out of you. I'm very proud of myself.
No, I still don't give a shit. It's about what we do, not what they do. Who cares what they do? It's about what we're doing, Sapichetti.
Okay, Dan Campbell. You're more like Dan Campbell today than ever. I'm gonna have to bet the Lions after listening to you for the last 20
lot
minutes.
Of pressure here, man. We've got high school football, college football. Patriots are important right now, but we are in the weeds with all this other stuff. So I'm trying to balance it all. I don't got time to break down the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, man. We've got some big matchups coming up next weekend in high school football.
Right. All right. Well, how about this? How big of a role will Trayvon Henderson play in the passing game?
He's going to have to play a big role, especially because, you mentioned their pressure. He's going to have to play a big role in pass pro. And I think that's where it's going to come down. Nice coffee, by the way. Put something in the stupid thing. Dress it up a little bit. A little bit of cream.
No.
A little bit of cream. Maybe a Splenda. Do something with the thing.
You're talking about manly stuff here, and I'm drinking black coffee like a cowboy.
Yeah, black coffee is stupid. There's no point. You might as well go put dirt in a cup and put water in it and heat it up. It's the same thing.
No.
It 100% is.
I drink cappuccinos with no sugar. I drink coffee black, no sugar. You are
such an anomaly. You don't drink cream and sugar in your coffee, but you'll scarf down a 5-pound prime rib. I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't. That's fine. Mutually exclusive.
Yes. All right, Matthias joins us again because why not? I want you guys' opinion on the team standing pat at the trade deadline, being thin at the safety position and running back. I think everyone's seen this coming, that they wouldn't add. No, I disagree with you there. I don't think anybody saw it coming. I think they did try to add, and I think they ultimately didn't. The price was too steep. But to sit there and to say they didn't try to add, I don't believe that. I think they did make an effort, and they did try to add to this roster, and ultimately they weren't willing to pay the price. Look, a lot of the sellers at the deadline, John, knew that, you know what, especially after what the Jets did, they knew we can aim high and maybe negotiate, our asking price. But at the end of the day, I don't think it's fair to say that the Patriots didn't try to upgrade the roster. I think they genuinely did. I just think a lot of the asking prices out there were astronomical, and quite frankly, I don't think that Mike Vrabel and Elliott Wolf were willing to go there.
There was no way in hell the Jets were going to trade Breece Hall to the Patriots. That just wasn't going to happen. No. And apparently the Titans are never going to make another deal with the Patriots as long as Mike Vrabel's there.
We talked about her and what she is as an owner. And lo and behold, Mike Giardi reports this on Tuesday that Amy Adams Strunk, the owner of the Titans, did specifically told her front office not to deal with the Patriots. So she's not bitter at all, right? She makes a decision to fire Vrabel, and now she's doing this. That's not a surprise. That's why they're dysfunctional.
She should be with Bill Belichick, who won't allow North Carolina to put out nice tweets about Drake May. So,
although they have been lately, though.
Well, they have no choice. The guy is third in MVP odds right now.
No, but to get back to Ken's point, I don't agree with the assertion that they didn't try. I think they did try. I think the bottom line is the asking prices were too high. So we'll see. We mentioned the Patriots offense going up against the Tampa Bay defense and Tampa Bay's pressure packages and everything else. But let's flip it to the other side now and look at the Patriots defense and what they're up against. And I want to take a look at some key matchups here. And we're going to go back to the offense in a sec as well. But Christian Gonzalez and Mecca Ibuka, I think that's going to be a matchup to watch when the Patriots want to play the matchup game. I think we're going to see Gonzalez on Ibuka a lot. Ibuka's had a terrific season. Look, I thought he was terrific at Ohio State. I followed him throughout his college career. He's been even better than I thought he would be in the NFL. I thought he would be good, but I didn't think he'd be this good this fast. He has emerged as their number one receiver. He's going to be a challenge for Gonzalez today.
Without question. I mean, he's got the total package, right? He can run all the routes. He's got size, speed. He seems so competitive out there. And again, when in doubt, draft an Ohio State or an LSU wide receiver, and you should be okay. Heck, Kayshon Boutte was drafted, in the 7th round by the Patriots? LSU wide receiver who was highly recruited. But, yeah, just take a wide receiver from one of those two schools, and you're probably going to hit a home run. That should be one of the most fascinating matchups of the day. Now, Gonzalez I still don't think he's 100% healthy. He's close, but he's not quite 100% healthy. He's out there playing with that hamstring. It's going to be an interesting matchup that he's going to have to face today. Is there any other way that maybe you change some looks against them rather than just having Gonzalez shade him the entire game?
Well, no, it depends on the coverage calls and what you're in the down and distance. So, right. I mean, he may match up against him in certain situations depending on where Ibuka lines up. Yep. He may not. So, I don't necessarily think they need to exclusively put him on Ibuka for the entire game unless they're playing man coverage. And depending on down and distance and field situation, they'll try to get that matchup. But there will be times where he may not be on him. So, again, it'll depend on their coverage plan and how they view him. Do they see him as a guy that they need to pay this much attention to in coverage? That's the other piece here. He may not be a guy that, and I don't believe this. I think they probably ultimately look at it and say, you know what? When we're playing man-to-man today or we're matching up, we want Christian on him as much as possible. And from a matchup standpoint, he is obviously a better matchup piece on Ibuka than former Buccaneer Carlton Davis, who I think is more of a squat cover 2 corner, who is more of a funnel flat guy who can play more of the matchup game and play zone. So I think, in my view, I think you're going to see him on him a lot today, but I don't necessarily think it's going to be every snap. I think it'll depend, again, on down and distance and where the Buccaneers are on the field.
You talk about matchups all the time, and it is fascinating in football. Last week, Drake London had a huge game against the Patriots. Some of those catches came against Marcus Jones, who he is 8 inches taller than. Drake London, 6'4", is like a shooting guard in the NBA, a tough matchup. So that was someone that could really do damage against the Patriots when he was matched up specifically on Marcus Jones. And he gave Christian Gonzalez a lot of issues as well. This is a different type of wide receiver. So matchups, as you say all the time, it's so important when we try to analyze a football game.
Yeah, and the other thing is I thought that Zach Robinson last week did a terrific job of getting London on Jones by short motioning him and getting him into a stack or lining up in compressed formations and getting him a clean release outside where he ended up on Jones. And I think Tampa Bay probably saw that and said, well, we can do the same thing. They do like to run a lot of compressed formation. So I would not be surprised if you saw a similar plan. Listen, when you're playing a team that plays a fair amount of either matchup man or man-to-man like the Patriots do, it really does come down to finding a way to get free releases for your receivers. And the best way to do that is to short motion to stack or to use compressed formations and to get guys those clean releases and get them in space one-on-one. So I suspect Tampa Bay will do a lot of the same thing today as they try to isolate Tez Johnson and Igbukah and their receivers against these Patriots corners one-on-one in space. Matthias checks back in. Apparently, he's now a co-host. How confident are you guys with Gonzo going against Emeka? We just talked about that, Ken. Would you take a coffee break? Do you put cream and sugar in your coffee? Please tell me you do. Don't be like Sapichetti, who drinks mud in a cup. And what kind of a role will Carlton Davis face during this game? I know he will be opposing Gonzo, maybe covering Tez Johnson. Again, I think it's going to depend on down distance, formation, personnel, where the ball is on the field. You don't always necessarily play the matchup game. That's what dictates the matchup game. And I think you're going to see that today. And Igbukah is good. And like I said, I think you're going to see Gonzalez on him a lot, but I don't think you're also going to see him on him the entire game. So I think you're probably going to get Carlton Davis on Johnson a lot more. I mean, look, if Evans and Godwin are healthy and playing in this game, it really stresses this secondary now. And you'd probably be in nickel and even dime a bunch in this game. But that won't be the case. They're shorthanded. They're also going to be without Bucky Irving, which I think is huge. As far as we know, I don't think he's playing. I don't know if you've heard anything different.
I've heard he's out. I've heard he's out. And also, no one runs against the Patriots. The first 9 games of the season, they have not allowed a running back to exceed 50 yards rushing. Josh Allen did it back a month ago.
I believe that's the first time in league history since 1950.
It's incredible. I mean, the only player that ran for 50-plus yards this year was Josh Allen back a month and a half ago. So, obviously, they could contain running backs. And now you take Bucky Irving out of the equation, they should be able to contain Tampa Bay's running game, forcing them into a lot of, deep downs. So, that becomes obviously critical in matchups with their wide receivers.
Yeah. Ken checks back in. He does do cream and sugar in his coffee. He'd be willing to be a part of the show. You already are. You check in all the time. So no need to have you on the screen. We can hear from you just by having you check in. John Sapichetti knows my knowledge. Does John Sapichetti even know Ken Matthias? Do you know him?
Oh, yeah. We've connected.
You have? Okay.
Yes. We've texted back and forth, and we actually talked on the phone a few weeks ago.
Wow. Is he your friend? I mean, how do you know him?
Through the show. He followed me on Twitter. I followed him on Twitter. He reached out to me for some advice. Yeah. And I gave some advice because you definitely want to listen to me since I've, had a skyrocketing career. So, this is
right. Since you're doing opposing colors today and you're wearing purple in honor of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah. You'd be
I am
100% a guy I would listen.
I'm a blind guy, so I don't know what color I'm wearing today.
Bono Sapichetti.
You like that? Yeah, I'm going to start clapping like Bono.
Yes. Well, that's more like Stevie Wonder right there.
Well, yeah. I'm not swaying my head, though.
Oh, I got you. You are watching the Patriots Pulse Preview Show. I'm your host, John Serenitas. As always, I'm joined by John Sapichetti. Got a few minutes left here on the show. Patriots visiting Tampa Bay today. Big matchup, as I said to start the show. I know a lot of people are painting this as their biggest test yet, and I guess from a schedule standpoint, you could say that. But the Patriots aren't last year's Patriots, where if they go down there and win, it's an upset. I think if they win this game, John, it should be an expectation. They're certainly good enough to go do it. And I think the other thing that hasn't been talked about enough this week is Tampa Bay's pretty banged up. Even though they're coming off a bye, they're missing a lot of big pieces, especially on offense. This is a game that if the Patriots won, none of us should be surprised. They are more than good enough to go down there and take care of business.
Without question. And their signature win is still in Buffalo. Buffalo had won 14 straight home games going into that one. They haven't lost at home since. They beat Kansas City last week. So Buffalo's a real Super Bowl contender, and the Patriots were able to go in there on a Sunday night.
I know you
really
must have been
Josh
excited
Allen.
now because you could start glazing Josh Allen again.
Well, I can't glaze my favorite quarterback because he doesn't play anymore. But so now it's on to Josh Allen. Well, no, he's played some
Breaks
games.
easy. Burrow is probably done for the year now. You would think.
No, he's coming back
with the Bengals and the situation they're in. I would think that Glass Man will probably sit the rest of this year out.
He'll be back.
Yeah, I doubt it. Ken Mattias checks back in. Final score predictions. Pats win close. Ken, settle down. We're gonna get there. Okay. We usually do that at the end of the show. So
I'm glad Ken's not the producer.
Ken,
You got to lay the show out. You know.
Ken is all amped up. Ken, you want to talk some high school football while we're here? What do you think of the round 2 matchups? Now you want to make Ken disappear real quick? Bring up college or high school football. Ken will go into witness protection before you know it. Looking at some of the key matchups here, John, and it's interesting because you mentioned their secondary and how vulnerable it is. And the Patriots, despite not having Kayshon Boutte, are certainly healthy enough that they should be able to take advantage of that pass defense. And when you look at corners, you know, they've got Zion McCollum, they've got Jamel Dean, who's been there a long time, played with Carlton Davis. The two of them were their starting corners on their Super Bowl team. You still have Winfield in the secondary. On paper, it's a veteran group, and it's a good group. They have size. They're physical. They can cover. They play a lot of zone. They'll play a lot of cover 3. They'll play some quarters. They try to protect those guys. But when you compare the matchup in terms of their passing game, the Patriots' passing game, I should say, versus Tampa Bay's pass defense, I mean, when you look at next-gen stats, the Patriots, they dominate across the board in every single category statistically based on ranking. They are better. Short passing game. Patriots are second in the league in short passing game completion percentage. Tampa Bay is 19th. Deep passing game, Patriots are number 1 in the league. They have the best vertical passing game in the league. Tampa actually does a pretty good job of defending the vertical passing game. They're top 5 in the league at 4. But everywhere else, to your point, I think when you look at short to intermediate, Tampa Bay has struggled in those areas of the field defending the pass. Those are areas the Patriots should be able to attack and take advantage of in this game.
Trayvon Henderson, Hunter Henry as a tight end, maybe Stephon Diggs and some shorter routes. Yeah, I think that's the way they're going to have to move the football. I don't think you're going to see either team run the football today. Tampa's really stout against the run with Vita Vea, and we detailed a few moments ago how good the Patriots are stopping the run. So it's going to be probably put into the quarterback's hands, and that's where you're going to see this game decided.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, Tampa Bay, their run defense has been just as good as the Patriots' run defense this season. And so, to your point, I think you're going to have to win this game throwing the football. And I think that's going to be the plan. I think that's how the Patriots are going to ultimately attack Tampa Bay. Like we mentioned, they're going to attack them in the short and intermediate areas. And I think the other thing you're going to see here is we haven't seen a ton of it, but I think you're going to see more perimeter screens today. They're going to try to extend the running game, get into space, and try to get their bigger personnel when they're out there in space and force them to have to make plays in space, which is not easy. And I think you bring up a good point. I think Hunter Henry, Stephon Diggs, the two veterans, are going to have to be a big part of the plan today because you are going to have opportunities in the short and intermediate areas to make plays in the passing game. If you want to win this game, that's where it's going to be. If you're going to take your shots over the top, you're going to have to be in plus territory or the high red zone area in order to do that. So we will see. All right, let's get to Ken's question here, which is a score prediction, giving out a final score here and how we think this is going to play out. So what is your prediction here? Can the Patriots go down to Tampa and take care of business?
Yes, they will. They'll win 20-16. I think it's going to be a defensive game. Again, neither team will be able to run. The pass defenses for Tampa Bay, to me, are below average. The Patriots' pass defense is solid. I think that gives them a little bit of edge. And I think they have the edge at quarterback, and I think they have the edge at head coach. Now, I like Todd Bowles a lot. We got to start giving him some props. I mean, Brady left Tampa, and he's on his way to winning his 3rd straight division there. And let's not forget, 10 years ago, Todd Bowles won 10 games with the New York Jets. I mean, that's an accomplishment unto itself. So I say Patriots 20-16. And the highlight of the game today is we finally got Nance and Romo back doing a Patriots game.
Yeah, people are really excited about that, and I don't know why. It's the first time they're calling a Patriots game in 2 years. The last time they called the Patriots game was their game in Vegas a couple of years ago. I don't – why are people that excited about this? Are we supposed to be? Does this mean that the Patriots are back? I get it. It's their A team.
Yeah.
Are people excited about this because this is a sign now that the networks see the Patriots as elite again?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm not a huge Nance Romo fan. I think Romo
Why
adds
not,
nothing.
John?
Yeah.
Hello, friends. What's your problem with Jim?
Patrick Mahomes, look at the throw that he just. Oh, Jim, look at the throw he made.
Yeah,
I mean,
but no. Romo's annoying, and I think Romo has gotten progressively worse to the point where I think he
so am I,
sucks.
apparently.
Yeah, but nobody ball washes Mahomes quite
No.
like Chris Collinsworth. I tell you, this Patrick Mahomes now, man, he's special. This Patrick Mahomes, he makes everything look easier.
How many times will it be that Tony Romo sounds like he's passing a kidney stone? That's the over and under today.
Well, he sounds like he's constipated.
Well, yeah.
Here we go, Jim. I got a lot of gas. I got to pass. Here we go, Jim.
Hello, friends. But it is a sign that they're back.
Jim Nance would be the perfect host, party host, right? Like you have a gathering at your house, and his job is to just stand at the door, and when people walk in, he just says his signature catchphrase. Hello, friends.
Tall, good-looking guy.
You've
met him, right? You say he's a really good guy.
He
really
seems like a nice guy.
Yeah,
hello, friends. He won't remember me, but hello, friend.
You're
the
tough
guy
to forget,
that looks
though.
like Fred Flintstone, friend.
You're almost as tall as him. You can look him in the eye. But no, it is a sign. It is a sign that they're back because we've had Spiro Ditas, and I think Spiro Ditas is good.
Lay off my fellow Greek, please.
No, he's fine. I hate when people attack like the C or D team. Hell,
yeah, I know. I agree with you.
If you're the C or D team, that means you're still one of the 10 best play-by-play guys in the world. I mean, okay, so Jim Nance is the elite quarterback, and Spiro Ditas is, the 12th best quarterback. He's still the 12th best. Well, there you go. I mean, I know you'll have some break bread with him at some point when they return to Foxborough. Yeah,
we'd have a nice hortiati salata.
Whatever that is, I would be.
Souvlaki, absolutely.
Okay, I'm on point with that. Yeah, Adam Archuleta, whatever. He never says anything of note.
He's Italian, yeah.
Yeah, Adam Archuleta. I wouldn't name many of us Adam.
But see, I don't think he's that bad. People act like Archuleta's terrible. I think he's fine. I don't think he's that bad. I mean, I don't know. People are idiots. They need something to bitch about, and apparently whoever's calling the game that gets their dander up.
Well, Joe Buck.
You don't like it, listen to Bob and Zoe on 98.5.
Yeah, I mean, when Joe Buck was at Fox, he did a ton of Packers games, right? And Packer fans hated him, but then the opposing fans hated him as well. So Joe Buck was doing his job. He was just kind of reporting on what was going on. He would bring up some good points, and then he also works with the best color analyst in the sport, Troy Aikman, who's at another level from everyone else, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know if he's that good, but
I don't think I like him a lot. I do. I think he's critical of quarterbacks, which is good to hear because you don't hear that.
That's all you ever talk about is quarterbacks. I mean, you're like a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah, I'm proud of that.
Yeah, I don't know why, but
that means I have a lot of years to live. I'm 62. If I split down the middle, I'll be around for a while.
Quarterbacks and just incessantly talk about them. That's going to help you live longer.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if I'm a 14-year-old kid, I should live longer in theory.
Well, 20-16, I think, is a little low scoring, in my opinion. I agree with you that I think the Patriots are going to go down there and win. I could see it being more of a 24-21, not much higher than what you're predicting, but I think they're going to go down there and win too. And it'll be awesome if they lose because we'll both have eggs on our faces the next time we do this show. So, but I think they're going to go down there and win. Again, a lot has been said this week about this being a true test for them, that they're good enough to go down there and win. I don't think this Tampa team is some type of a juggernaut that you can't beat. All right, well, that'll do it for this week's episode of the Patriots post-game show. For John Saperstetti, I'm John Serenitas. We will be back with you on Thursday when the Patriots host the New York Jets on primetime on Thursday Night Football. Until then, have a happy, healthy, and safe week. Peace.